Let's do all of our double checks and give people a minute to log in. Make sure we're all good to go. Hold on a second, let me check Facebook. How's everybody doing today? Tell me in the comments what your weather's like. We are rainy and gloomy here today. Not fun. But you might notice something different. We're in our kitchen. We are in our new kitchen, and I'm so excited that this is where we are. Okay, good. We're live on Facebook too. Just one quick note. I could not get the lighting up and running the way that we want to today. It just didn't happen. So we are doing the best we can. And that is also why this camera is not in focus. I'm trying to do all the things, and it can be a little bit challenging. So bear with me, and we'll do the best we can, because that's all you can ask of anybody, right? So if you're here and you're watching, please say hi, give me a like, give me a couple hearts, tell me that you're here, tell me where you're from, tell me what your weather is like. And I'm going to get started on talking about blackening seasoning. Remember, there's a delay, so I'll check back on questions and see if anybody has comments or questions in a minute. So we are going to be making blackened seasoning, and then we're going to be blackening chicken. So the first thing I want to talk about while we're doing this is that blackened is not blackening, kind of two different things. It is born Cajun Creole style down in Louisiana. It's actually a style of cooking, not necessarily a recipe. So you'll find that blackening seasoning is also very similar to jerk seasoning, but it's the cooking method. It has nothing to do with the actual, it does have something to do with the seasoning, but blackening or blackened is akin to the actual cooking style. You can do it with any kind of protein, and today we're going to be using chicken. First, you have to make the seasoning. Most people buy this, but you probably have everything in your pantry to make it, and a bottle of it is about $5. So I'm going to really highly encourage you to make your own. The first thing we're going to do is, make sure I get it off. I'm scrambling to get ready today, guys. Is 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika. You can use regular paprika. Smoked is just going to give you a little bit more of that flavor-enhanced smoked. You can also use sweet. But blackened items and Creole Cajun cuisine is supposed to be a little bit spicy. So we're going to make it a little bit spicy. I still don't see anybody talking to me. Where are my people at? Give me a wave, give me a hi, give me a heart, tell me where you're from. Yay, hearts! Woohoo! Tell me what's going on. Okay, next up we have 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper. So I like mine to be spicy. If you don't like spicy, omit the cayenne and use a sweet paprika, no judgment. I also generally use 2 teaspoons of a chipotle pepper powder. I didn't have that today. I'm still unpacking my kitchen. So if you want to use that, that also adds a little bit of smoky. You could also use an ancho, or you could double up on the chili powder, which is what I just did. Some of those are a little bit more expensive. Totally get it if you don't want to put that on your list. I'm still not, this camera still isn't the overhead focusing in. We'll have to work on that for next time. Okay. 1 tablespoon of onion powder and 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. I am reading this one because I don't have this one memorized. And 1 teaspoon of ground pepper. I've not found my peppercorns yet. You guys know how I feel about freshly ground pepper versus ground pepper. But I do have an emergency pre-ground pepper, and we are going to have to use it today because my pepper grinder was empty and the whole peppercorns have not been unpacked. So we're going to do 1 teaspoon. You can also use a white ground pepper if you want that for a little bit more mild of a taste. 1 teaspoon there. Nobody's here today. Where are my regular folks? None of my regular fans are here. I miss you guys. Okay. Ground pepper, salt, kosher salt. So I'm going to use a large kosher salt. This calls for 2 teaspoons. When you're using a coarse salt, you can probably go a little bit higher. Now, if you're going to use a finer salt, go a little bit lower. because then it's going to be too salty, and we don't want that either. Take half a teaspoon of dried basil. I'm just going to eyeball this. Half a teaspoon of dried oregano. Okay. And half a teaspoon of dried thyme. Thyme leaves, not ground thyme. Big difference. For these, I do use the dried versions. Remember, the dried versions start losing pungency at about 6 months, so make sure you check your dates on those. And then we're just going to mix them together. Very easy. Oh, and I realized I forgot to melt my butter. Excuse me 1 second here. Look, I've got a new microwave that looks like an oven. Isn't that cool? Still learning how to use it though. Okay, so we're going to mix all this together. So the biggest difference you're going to notice when we do a homemade blackened seasoning is that it's not as fine of a powder as you would get if you bought it in a bottle. And there is only one big difference. They put it through a spice grinder or a spice mill. And you can do that if you want to do that at home. That's totally acceptable. Go ahead and throw it into a spice grinder. Basically the same thing as a coffee grinder. Just make sure you clean it out well in between. Otherwise your spices will be tasting like coffee and your coffee will be tasting like blackened seasoning, and that's not good. Just mix it all until it's evenly combined. I like to do mine in a shallow pie plate because we're going to dredge our chicken or whatever protein you're using, and then I want to be able to fully cover it in the spices. Okay. So this is when we get to the technique of blackened seasoning. It is technically dredging your protein in butter and then putting it in the spice mix so it cakes on it. The caveat to that is butter doesn't have a very high smoke point, so then we're going to put it in something super hot because we want it to sear. Blackened does not mean burnt. A little bit of char, a little bit of flavor, but not burnt. It will burn slightly because of the butter. The butter doesn't have as high of a smoke point as other oils. We're going to be using vegetable oil today. So you want to be wary of that. If you are going to be doing something, I'm going to go turn this on and I'll leave it in a second. If you are going to be doing something that is thicker, like a full chicken breast, you either want to tenderize it so it's a uniform thickness and it's a little bit thinner, or you're going to brown it in the skillet so that you get the nice char and all of the flavor from the herbs on the outside, but then finish it up in the oven. The reason being is that if it cooks that long with all of these spices on it and the butter in a hot skillet, the inside is going to be raw still, and we don't want raw chicken. Nobody wants raw chicken. And if you leave it in there long enough to cook the inside, the outside is going to be burnt, not blackened, burnt. And you don't want that either. Okay? So I'm going to let my pan heat up here on the side while we do the chicken pieces. Make sure I'm all in focus here. Okay. So I got little chicken tenders. They're little thin little guys. I'm hoping that we can put those in the skillet and get them to cook up just perfectly for us today. So what do you use this for? How do you eat these? Well, you could just eat them as chicken tenders if you want. And blackened seasoning tastes really good with the same kind of sauces as jerks, like honey mustard. You could do more hot sauce. You could do a barbecue sauce. You could eat it just plain. That's totally acceptable as well. And then you could also put them into a sandwich. Throw it on a Kaiser roll, some chipotle aioli, garlic aioli, and ta-da, you are done. That's my new microwave. It sings. You can use these for tacos. Cinco de Mayo is coming up, so that would be an excellent idea for Cinco de Mayo. And these chicken tenders are going to be destined for a salad tonight. I'm making a giant salad for dinner. Both my husband and I did not eat very well over the weekend, and we are going to make up for it by eating tons of veggies for dinner tonight. He doesn't know that yet. He's not a big fan of salad night, but he'll have to deal with it because I'm going to cook it. It's going to be a good salad. Avocados, I'm going to toast up some quinoa. I'm going to make it delicious. So if you can see this on the overhead, and I know that it's not totally in focus, the butter is caking it onto the chicken, and that's what's going to help it stick when we cook it. I've got my skillet heating up over here on the side. I'm going to move it over so we've got it over the overhead monitor here. Move all this stuff around. My range has still not been delivered, guys, so we're literally cooking with fire on a gas burner, although it's actually more convenient for shooting when I'm just a one-woman show over here. So I let this skillet heat up a little bit, and now I'm going to add some vegetable oil. Vegetable oil has a high smoke point, so it's not going to burn as fast as butter will, and that's why I'm using that. So you can use other alternatives, safflower oil, canola oil. Peanut oil has a really high burn smoke point. You could also use avocado oil. I'm sure coconut oil will burn, I think. So use one of those. I also like to do this in a cast iron skillet, like a really well-seasoned cast iron skillet, because it's more non-stick. I am going to use a non-stick skillet today. Some people will be like, oh, it's cheating, you gotta use stainless. It's not cheating, guys. Even the best of chefs have non-stick skillets for things like this, because I don't want that delicious seasoning to peel off on my pan. I worked so hard for it. I didn't really work that hard, but I don't want it to peel from the pan. And it's great for omelets. It is perfect for omelets. Omelets aren't supposed to have any brown on them, and a non-stick pan is going to ensure that happens. Okay, so I've got my vegetable oil heating up. I'm going to do it, this is a sear. I'm going to do it on a really high heat, really fast. So put all those in. Oh yeah, hear the bubble? Exactly what we're going for. Now that overhead camera might get smoked out. Let's see what happens. I can already smell it, and that is exactly what you're aiming for. Should probably go turn on the fan, huh? I don't want to set off my smoke alarm. My son is napping. We'll see. Does anybody have any questions yet? I don't have many people on today. Usually I've got more folks. Is it just because it's summer, or does everybody else have like really nice weather, and I'm the only one sitting here in the rain and the gunk? I don't know. Tell me where you're from. I see you watching. I see there are people here. I just am not hearing from any of you. Give me a wave, give me a heart, give me a like, give me something. I'm feeling really lonely. I'm feeling very, very lonely right now. While we wait for our chicken to cook. So like I said, I'm putting these on a salad. I'm going to use a spring mix. I'm going to toast up some raw quinoa. If you've never done that before, it's probably better than actual cooked quinoa on a salad. It's great as a replacement for croutons, something crunchy, and then I like it. It's a better crunch to ratio to the salad, because then you don't have like this giant crouton where you get one big crunch, but you don't get anything else in the bite. You get little crunchies all the way throughout, and they don't get soggy, because, you know, croutons get soggy after a while. So you can see this. Some of my seasoning is coming up and almost forming a little bit of a paste. That's okay. But look, I've got this nice brown on the side of the chicken, and that is exactly what I'm going for. It's stuck to it. I can smell it. It is super fragrant. It smells like being in New Orleans, and it's stuck to the chicken. In fact, I can smell the spice, like the heat. It smells spicy. I'm going to be so excited for dinner tonight, knowing this is what we're having. So these are probably only going to take 2 or 3 minutes per side because they're so thin. I'm not going to need to put them in the oven. Make sure, oh, yay, Columbia, South Carolina. I hope is it raining there too? It's the whole East Coast. Yep, North Carolina, raining. Well, I guess it's the whole East Coast. We got to work on this other camera, guys. It looks much more in focus on my end than it does on Facebook. That'll be our room for next week, is figuring that out. Okay. So these guys are almost done. I've got a nice crust, as the barbecue people would call it. It's a bark. It is definitely dry. So you can, like I said, you can eat them by themselves, but they're really good with some sort of a sauce, a honey mustard. That sweet along with spicy is superb. I'm going to make a creamy avocado dressing, like a green goddess dressing for our salad tonight. We'll go back and tell you what's there. I've got heirloom tomatoes. I'm going to do that toasted quinoa, pickled red onion, blackened chicken strips, and a creamy avocado dressing. And it's going to be amazing. I'll probably throw in some carrots and stuff too. When I make these giant salads for dinner, I kind of just throw things that are random in the vegetable crisper into the salad, and it makes a good time. So, okay, that is all we have for you today. This one's a relatively short one. I figured we'd be on here for a little bit longer, but it looks like other people have stuff to do, so I'm not going to keep you. These are all done. You can see they are fully cooked. If you can't see on Instagram, I know Instagram doesn't have my overhead shot. Hold on, as soon as I can get that there. Do a close-up for my Instagram folks. There you go, blackened chicken. Oh, it smells so good. It's going to be hard to not eat this for lunch. It's too hot to eat right now. Avocado dressing. Yes, Deborah, you'd like avocado dressing. Your husband wouldn't, but you would. Okay, guys, from my kitchen to yours, we will see you next week. And next week, I'm going to be at the beach. I don't know what I'm cooking yet, and it probably won't be on at the same time because it's right in the middle of the day. But I am going to do something. Maybe we'll make a cocktail or dip or something that's good for kind of beach vacation and gearing up for all that kind of stuff. So, from my kitchen to yours, we'll see you next week. Have a wonderful day and stay dry if it's raining in your area.